Yeah, so Jack, you were I forget where you are. Apologies.
Yeah, I'm just saying in the normal execution of a real estate transactions, these are all check boxes, milestones during the process,
Right.
that there is adequate electricity, water, all of the utilities. Something doesn't sound right to me that all of a sudden after the signature's been put on the papers that all of a sudden there's no water. Um, something doesn't sound right here.
Yeah, I completely agree. Now he's also, in bed with Senator Warnock, who's, progressive
Oh yeah,
maniac, and it's his job to fight ICE. It's like that's
yeah.
his only job is to keep illegal aliens on board.
I would
So
think the HS could sue afterwards for misrepresenting the facilities. You know,
yeah, yeah, Seth, what do you think? Why do you think this guy went to the extreme measure of putting a lock on the water meter when they were trying to open up their account?
Because he's going to lose voters. That's the only thing that makes sense. I mean, number one, I don't know why the government's getting involved with a private transaction. A private citizen sold something or leased something to the government, and why are you interfering with commerce? Why are you getting involved with that?
Well,
The
it's
man's
because of the water and sewer capacity in the town is what is their excuse,
That's
which they
bullshit.
should have brought up in
yeah,
advance.
And they knew about this months ago
Yeah.
right.
this was all when they got the permits and all that stuff. They knew about it then, and it wasn't a
Right.
problem then.
Yeah,
It's just like I said. It goes back to accountability. Nobody wants to be accountable for anything. So it's the water. That's why I don't have the balls to tell you I don't want you here because I'm pro illegal aliens. So I'm just going to say it's a water issue. That way I don't look like such a pansy. It's no accountability. I would have more respect for the man if he just said that. Look, I don't want you here. I think we shouldn't be deporting anybody. So I'm going to do what I can to keep you out, and I'm going to start with the water and sewage. Be a man about it. Stand
yeah,
up and sound off like you got a pair. Don't hide behind some BS that everybody else can see through and knows you're lying. They're doing that here in Hagerstown, Maryland. They bought a rented or whatever lease a facility to use for ICE detention, and they're fighting it. They've put a block on it. They're stopping commerce. They're stopping a private company from making money because they don't agree with what the government's doing. The man's allowed to make a living. The company's allowed to make a living. Who
yeah,
cares? As long as what they're doing is legal, who cares? And it's legal. There's nothing illegal about what's going on there. There's nothing illegal that's going on here in Maryland. It's legal. Stay out of it. Stop
Yeah.
putting your feelings in front of the law. And that's what they're doing. It's all about feelings. It's not
yeah.
about legal issues. I don't like this, so I don't want it to happen. That's what it
Yeah,
boils down to.
I agree because DHS even said, like, if this is a problem, we'll just build wells and we'll run on well water. And they're like, oh wait, they're like, because that really isn't the thing. They could fix the water
Oh, I
issue
know.
if they really wanted
Yeah.
to, but they really just don't want it. And the fact of the matter is, this is a detention center that for really just you're going to have some buses coming in and out. This isn't going to affect the quality of life of anybody. In fact, it could bring thousands of jobs to the
Okay.
Yeah.
neighborhood. There's going to be somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 employees at the place, plus all of the vendors to supply the place that could enrich the surrounding towns.
Yeah.
But they literally,
And let's be honest. This is all because they're Democrats. They want due process. They want these people to go to court. They want them to have their in front of a judge. So
Yeah.
now we've got to house these people while we put them through this crap. So what do you
They
expect?
don't
You
want
can't
them
have
to
it both
take-
ways.
they don't want them. They
Right,
want them
but you
running
can't have
free
it both
while they're-
ways. You can't say you have to give them a due process, but we don't want to have them housed here. You can't have it both ways. If you want them to have due process, we've got to hold them. If we can't just ship them out immediately, we need to put them somewhere while we give them this due process and spend thousands of dollars per person. You can't have it both ways. You can't want this, but not that. You get it all or none.
Yeah, was this built? Was that built for that purpose or some other purpose?
No, it was built for a warehouse. It was a
Just a
warehouse.
warehouse.
So it wasn't built for that purpose. And that's why I brought up the point that if there really is a very serious water issue in this town, there should have been occupancy limits put on that and zoning regulations in place from the get-go. Why was it
Right.
built to begin with if you were this close to running out of water and sewer capabilities?
I mean,
So it's all fishy or grossly incompetent or both.
these are well, Seth mentioned these are in the permits. The permits are the ones that's exactly what gives you the green light You got enough water? Here's your permit.
Well, I don't know if they got to that process, before, if you would do permitting before a purchase. I'm not sure how that works. But you would be looking at zoning and occupancy and things like that for sure.
Yeah. I mean, even when you buy a house, they go through, the inspectors will come out even before you buy a house to make sure when you buy.
And I'm pretty sure if they're going to house people, the fire marshal had to give his blessing. Like, how many people are going to be here? Okay, then you need to have so many sprinkler heads, and you have to have this and that. So they knew this didn't just sneak up on them.
I mean, they haven't started the construction on it yet, but they knew. Like I said, the Facebook post proved that they knew before the sale went through.
Yeah.
And they had been kvetching about it. This was a strong arm move that a weak man made. Who thought it was a strong arm move. And what he's done now is put his city in the national spotlight and made himself into public enemy number one among conservatives who want illegal aliens deported. So big embarrassment for social circle, if you ask me.
Really?
It should be.
It should be, but we'll see how this plays out. I'm sure that DHS is going to win in the end, and this will be an operational facility pretty soon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, guys, we got more ICE related news right after the break.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up. Because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. But America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. The New Jersey State House Watch, hosted by Jack Brangan and Constance Detzel. APN's The Pulse is moderated by either Alexandra, Damon, Eleana, or Seth. Also tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X, Rumble, Truth Social, Parler, Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. Join the revolution because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.
All right, welcome back. You guys ready for more ICE fun?
Sure.
All right. Well, the governor of Massachusetts and her attorney general have an announcement to make. Pop it up.
I could hardly wait.
Across the country, ICE has been instigating, antagonizing, and causing violence in our neighborhoods.
People have been shot and killed, ripped out of their cars, and assaulted and attacked for peacefully protesting.
Enough is enough. Today, we're launching a new online portal where you can report misconduct by ICE.
Share your stories, upload photos or videos to help us spot any type of overreach or abuse of power here in Massachusetts.
We'll also connect people with legal support and use this information to make decisions that keep people safe.
Because no one is...
Seth, what do you think about ratting on ICE?
Ever since there's been law enforcement, there's been people who are anti-law enforcement because nobody likes being told no. Nobody likes being held accountable. And that's all they're doing. And like I said before, nobody wants to be held accountable. They're not just willy-nilly walking down the street shooting people. There's not like roving gangs of ICE agents smoking crack and drinking 40s and then walking through the town shooting people like in an old Western movie. They're enforcing
that's not
the law.
what the left thinks. The left actually believes that they are.
Well, I know the left also believes that the earth is flat and aliens are coming to visit us on the end of this month. They believe a lot of stuff. What people don't understand is, believe it or not, law enforcement doesn't want to interact with people in a negative way because that's paperwork that they have to do. Not just a little paperwork, a lot of paperwork. And they don't want to do that. So if they involve with somebody, it's because there's a reason. And if they're pulling people out of cars, it's probably because you've broken the law. They're not just, like I said, straight on the street corner and the first blue car that stops, they rush out and drag the driver out and start punching them. They've broken the law. If you're here illegally, you're breaking the law. I don't care about whether they're a law-abiding citizen. No, you're not. You're here illegally. The key word there is illegal. You're breaking the law. You're going to be held accountable. And these morons everywhere, well, we're going to do this. ICE can't do that. It's federal law. It makes a good soundbite. People think you're really cool and you're a badass for standing up to the federal government. But at the end of the day, you can't do a thing about it. They are the federal government. State law can't be more lenient than the federal law. It has to be more strict if it's going to be adhered to. So if they're saying ICE can't do this, the hell they can't. You can't stop them. Like Jack was talking about, they can't wear masks. You can't tell them that. They are federal law enforcement. You have no say in it on the state level. None. You're going to send a sheriff out to lock up a federal agent? That's not going to end well. They're doing their job. They're arresting illegal immigrants. If they fight, they get their wigs split. If you pull a gun or try to fight with them with a weapon, you're going to get shot. This is common sense. The best way to avoid all this is become a legal citizen. Don't go to protest with a gun. Don't fight with federal law enforcement. Do what they tell you. The place to fight is in court. Go to court and tell a judge what happened. If you fight on the street with law enforcement, you're going to lose. That's why resisting arrest is a crime.
Especially with a gun.
Yeah, if you have a gun, don't pull it. Tell the cops, I got a gun on me. I got a permit and I'm carrying a weapon. Tell them.
I know all this common sense stuff, but they don't
like being surprised like that.
Jack, is this legal? Because this really feels like they're almost encouraging people to antagonize and interfere with ICE operations, because you can't. They use this very careful language. Take pictures, take a video, but a lot of these people who have gotten into confrontations, that's what they were doing, but they added this anger and these actual obstructionist activities. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they're very careful to take it right up to the edge with where you don't impede them, but you blow whistles. When I see something like that, look, you've got Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey, you've got Spamberger in Virginia, and then you have this lady. I'm not even sure what her name is, but it's all the same recipe in these blue states. When Mikey Sherrill took office, within a week, she came up with a portal in New Jersey where people can do the same thing, report ICE activity. You can report where they are, and also you can report where you think there's violations. And the justification is that we're going to take all this and save it for future lawsuits against ICE. But it's the same thing. And these laws that I just read off, I heard Spamberger, read off a week ago, Virginia's version of this don't help ICE law. It's the same stuff. So it's the same recipe over and over again. Is it legal? It sounds like it probably is if you don't impede anyone. But, they in reality, when you get out on the street and people get worked up, then you end up with these fools that park their car in front of ICE vehicles and just take it all too far and walk around with loaded guns.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm all for accountability. If you want to film a police officer or an ICE agent doing their job, that's fine. And there's no problem with that. The problem is, like Jack said, when you start to interfere, when you start walking up on them when they're trying to arrest somebody, screaming and yelling and shoving the camera in their face, or when you start pushing it because you don't think what they're doing is right. Watching them and filming them is great. As long as you don't get involved, I'm all for it. It's when you start to involve yourself in a legal activity of a law enforcement officer, and then they turn around and knock your teeth out of your head, then you play victim. Like, well, I wasn't doing anything wrong. You can't do that. Stay out of their way. If you don't like what they're doing, go to court. Write a letter to your congressman. Tell a judge, tell the news. The place to fight them is not on the street, because you're going to lose.
Yeah.
They have the legal authority to do what they're doing. You have no legal authority to get involved.
That's the problem with this type of video, though, is that it's creating this fear and anger and separation and hatred, and creating this darkness around ICE and fostering that mentality that's going to create the situation you just mentioned.
You're right. They know what they're doing. Like Jack said, they bring it right to the edge and then they stop. Like, hey, you should videotape them and watch them, and then they stop. And they want to go fat. They want to go, get involved. If it's not right, get involved. But they know if they say that, then they become legally obligated and legally accountable. So they stop at that point. But they put it out there. They insinuate, hey, if you want to film
people are not going to stop. Or at least.
Yeah, if you want to film it and get involved, we can't tell you can't or you should. But, stuff happens.
None of this happened during the Obama administration. No. There was 100% cooperation between ICE and the local municipal authorities. And where that cooperation does take place now, you don't hear anything.
No.
They just pick these people up and off they go and everything's quiet. This is all about keeping illegal immigrants in the state for the purpose of voting. That's, at the bottom, very bottom foundation, it's the voter registration file. To me, that's it. What it's all about.
Yeah.
What's really,
okay.
I was gonna say, what's really funny is these people who are illegal immigrants are complaining about it. If you listen to their story, they'll start off, I've been here 30 years and I own a business. So you're trying to tell me in that 30 years, you couldn't find the time to go apply to be a citizen. In that 30 years, you couldn't find 6 or 7 months set aside to take care of business. But now it's a problem. Now I'm a citizen. No, you had ample opportunity. You had more than enough time to take care of this and you chose not to. I don't feel sorry for you. Not at all.
Yeah. What the funny thing is that all these ICE operations, even in blue places, are still happening. So whether or not there are protests, we don't know because the media has turned their eye of Sauron to another, focus right now. The media, right? You got that? The media.
That's nice.
Media made this into the catastrophe that it is. And we know that. So there may be protests as we speak, ICE protests, but nobody cares anymore.
And I think we all can agree, and I'm just going to say it because I'm sure somebody out there like gnawing at their nails, screaming and yelling. Not everybody behind the badge should be behind the badge. Nobody here is saying that all police and all ICE agents are 100% right all the time. We're not saying that. But what we're saying is stay out of their way. If they're doing wrong, it's going to come up and they're going to have to explain to a judge. It's not for you on the street to decide what's right or wrong.
Yeah.
Go off.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. All right. Let's talk about good versus bad cops now. This is you just made me the perfect segue. All right. Come on. Damon, can you pop up this officer? His name is Kai Bowen. He's 42 years old. I believe he's a captain with the NYPD. Oh, yeah. This guy beat the daylights out of a 67-year-old man. His name is Mahadeo Narain. Narain allegedly molested a 15-year-old girl who we believe is related to this officer. Now, I don't know about you, but go, officer. If this man molested your niece or your family member, I'm all for it. I may not sound like a very good Christian or a good citizen right now, but he was off duty and he knows fully well that justice isn't served in places like New York. You can molest a girl and just walk right back out the door and you'll never face any justice. So at least, at a minimum, the guy took a beating. The molester is facing charges, but the cop was arrested. And he is facing assault in the second degree, criminal obstruction of breathing, because he choked the guy a little bit, and harassment charges. He's going back.
If you're off duty, you're functioning as a citizen, right? Not an officer.
It's like being in the military. Even out of uniform, you still have a code you have to conduct yourself by.
Gotcha. All right.
Even without a uniform on, you were still held to a higher standard.
All right. So shoot, what do you think? Seth, I'll start with you. What do you think?
While personally, I agree with what he did. I think that the molester deserved at least the ass whooping he got. Unfortunately, he's a police officer. And it's as hard as cold and callous as this may sound, he has to separate those two. He's a cop first. He's going to be held to a higher standard. He would arrest somebody else for doing that. So he shouldn't be surprised if he gets arrested, and he needs to be held accountable. While I agree with what he did, I 100% I agree with what he did. The guy deserved it. I don't dispute that at all. It's not for him to do that because he would arrest somebody else for that.
All right, I hear you, but you're talking about accountability in a city that criminals don't get accountability. Jack, do you think this cop will get a harsher, harsher justice than a street criminal would?
Unfortunately, yes, because he's a cop.
All I can say is I hope that he doesn't. In fact, this is where I would hope that the judge would use some discretion.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately it's going to boil down to what judge you get.
And, I mean, look at it this way. Do you really want a cop who allows his emotions to take over and he does this, dealing with you if he's having a bad day? Who's to say he might not take something else personally and decide to beat somebody else up? And I'm not saying what he did. I agree. I'm a father.
He's not a rookie, and it doesn't seem that he's had this problem before. I think this was a personal matter. I am defending him because as a woman, also as a woman, when you're mistreated by somebody and somebody that loves you comes over and takes care of that, it actually erases a lot of the pain. It takes care of, you know what I mean? It makes you feel like, I was disrespected, but okay, I really am valued. There's a psychological thing that happened there that wouldn't have happened if he didn't do it. And I know I'm walking a dangerous line here, it's not, advocating for vigilante violence, but when the government charges us money so that they can protect us and then they don't do it.
My old man was a cop for 20 years. I am pro cop. I am not bashing this cop at all. I'm just saying.
No, you're not. No, I don't feel like you. It doesn't feel like you are.
I empathize with the man because I'd have done the same thing. But on the other side, like I was telling Jack, he's held to a higher standard. He has to be able to. Cops see horrible things every day. They see humanity at the worst. Very rarely do they deal with somebody who's having the best day of their life. They have to be able to back up from that and look at it objectively and logically. They can't let their emotions get involved because if they do, number one, they're going to lose their mind after a year. All the shit they got to see, they're not going to last. I empathize with the officer. One side of me is glad he did it. The guy deserved it. The other side's like, you need to be held accountable because you're a police officer. You embody the law. You are the law on the street, and people need to trust you.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, maybe can we just agree, like a nice little slap on the wrist?
Yeah, I hope he doesn't do any serious time. I hope he doesn't lose his job. I hope maybe a stern talking to, a suspension, lose some pay, lose a little rank, and then go back on the street. I hope that's all that happens to him. I really do.
Didn't they lose qualified immunity? In New York? Was this in New York?
I don't know. I know a couple states took it away. I don't know if New York was one.
I'm just wondering whether the perp can sue him now for.
That would be ballsy.
Well, but this was off duty. So qualified immunity really has to do with on duty stuff, doesn't it?
Most of the time, in the course of your duties as a police officer, it applies.
So this was like as two civilians. So yes, so the perp could probably sue him for, his emotional distress or whatever.
Yeah, he could.
And his physical, when he got choked, it was distressing, I'm sure.
I hope it was. I hope it was very distressing.
It was
choking was an accident. It was an accident.
I slipped. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to choke you. But yeah, he's held to a higher standard, unfortunately. And he's got to face some type of account. He has to. It's one of those things where I'm like 50-50. Like, yeah, good. You should have, split his head with a baseball bat. And then the other side's, well, you know what? You're a police officer. You should know better. You can't get yourself in that situation because you would arrest somebody else for doing the same exact thing as you just did.
Right.
So I understand, but there's got to be some accountability. There has to be.
All right.
Agreed.
Well, let's move on to a darker topic. Let's pop up this lady's picture here, number 5 from New York. This is Deborah Glick. She's a New York State Assembly member, and she is trying to pass a law to force New Yorkers across the state to turn off all of their outside lights starting at 11 p.m. every night or face hefty fines. She says it's going to save the environment, and then people will also be able to see the stars if they're in the cities. Right, we can get rid of her. I can't even stand her face. To me, this just seems like just wild overreach, extremely impractical, pro-crime, but they keep coming up with new ways to police our lives and just new ways to just new ideas that will, that are more bizarre than the week before. Jack, now,
we keep our light on out front and back for safety reasons. I'm not turning them off, and that this would be an invitation to people looking for trouble when it's dark.
Imagine your wife is out and she's coming home late, or your kid is out, at a job, working, even doesn't matter, working or for pleasure, and has to walk up to a dark house, walk up a dark flight of stairs, and get mugged because somebody could just be hiding right at your front door. I mean, who would? It's insane.
The problem is who elects these people to, get into these, unless this is just out and out cheating again, by the Democrats. But she didn't lose her mind, yesterday when she came up with this idea. She was probably a nutcase half her life, but they still, vote her in. That's the astounding thing. Some are so astounding. I can't. It's got to be cheating. I just can't believe some of these people are elected.
Well, I'm sure you'll be facing something like this in New Jersey soon, because they'll catch wind of it and they'll just say this is a delightful idea.
Yeah, everything comes here. We're a magnet for that kind of stuff. Do we know the status of the SAVE Act? Anybody hear anything? What the latest? Is it still being filibustered or something?
I think it's going to be brought to the floor for debate. I think I read.
Yeah, that's debate is next. Yes. So it was advanced to debate, but I just don't see that's another thing. But what Seth, just weigh in on this New York, this New York.
The level of their stupidity no longer amazes me. I'm not shocked. I mean, turn off your lights so we can see the stars. Okay. Just don't do it. Just, okay, I'll turn my lights off for you. Whatever. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
They're saying they're going to enforce it with fines, hefty fines.
Who's going to do that? Who's going to enforce it? That's almost unenforceable. Were the cops going to go? They're going to have the light police now, going to come around after 11 and start writing tickets because you have your lights on. The cops aren't going to want to do that. Like I said, cops don't want to do paperwork. That's the least of that's the lowest on their priority list is more paperwork. They're going to have who else? Would housing authority police do that? You can't enforce that. It's unenforceable. Again, it makes for a good soundbite. The tree huggers now like her. She'll get their vote. And everybody's life will go on unchanged. It's ridiculous. Turn off your lights at night because it'll save the environment. What? Isn't that why we have LED lights to save the environment? Now what? Those aren't working. Now we got to turn them off. What? They need to make up their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they don't really care. They just want to. When I think about I'm going to say thousands, but it's probably at least tens or even hundreds of thousands of laws in this country that these legislators, when you look at the Constitution, that's all we ever really needed. Maybe a little more, maybe a few of the amendments. That's all we really needed. And, the thousands of laws that they've written just to keep themselves working, just to little by little whittle away at our freedoms.
Yeah.
It makes me sick to my stomach, angry. I can't even I start to spaz on anger when I think about things like this. Somebody like that needs to be kicked to the curb from the state house, needs to be ejected from the country. As far as I'm concerned, you want to control my life that much? You can't get far enough away from me.
Yeah.
It's the old frog in the boiling water. You don't put the frog in the boiling water, it'll jump out, and you put it in the cold water and you slowly turn the heat up and it'll stay in there until it's dead. It's the same
Yeah.
thing you're talking about. They do little bit at a time because you really don't notice it or it's not that big of a deal. And by the
Right.
time you catch on to what they're doing, it's too late. You can't do anything about it.
Yeah, in New Jersey, and this is a new session starting up, 8,200 bills have been introduced in this legislature.
What?
8,000.
Jesus Christ.
So what that means, it's recognized on the docket and it gets a number. Doesn't mean anybody stood up and introduced it on the floor. But there's 8,000 bills that are sitting there that have to be either ignored or dealt with. They're in
Who
the
has
queue.
time to write 8,000 bills? That's insane.
That's when I do a bill search, for this session that are introduced and don't put any parameters in, it comes up with 8,200 bills for this session.
That's ridiculous. 8,000. What?
I'll send you the screen print.
That's
And
crazy.
I've heard this separately than my own.
Yeah, that's what I'm
query.
talking about, though. That makes me just want to flip tables and yeah. No, I really like you.
Obfuscation is part of the game.
Oh,
Get everything so jumbled up that nobody knows which end is up.
I mean, look at Virginia. Look at all these new taxes they put on the books. It literally, even a mattress. There's a new mattress tax. When you buy a mattress, there's an extra $20 tax on top of the sales tax.
Right.
Just like there's like a dog walking tax now, dog grooming tax. Everything that you do is taxed in Virginia now. I'm convinced everything. The reason, they make it so hard. They stand there and they scream. People can't afford to eat, but you're not even allowed to hunt or fish and feed your family without checking in with the government first and making sure you're there on the right day. You can't, they'll tell us that the deer is overpopulated, but you're not allowed to go hunt. You're only allowed to go hunting for them certain times.
Yep.
It's just the amount of control is sickening. I'm ready to go back to,
Yeah. Soon they're going to allocate 1,500 breaths a day if you breathe more than 1,500 times.
Oxygen tax. It'll be called oxygen tax.
The oxygen tax.
And you know what, Seth? They will find a way to police that.
I'm surprised they haven't yet.
And if you sneeze, that counts 5.
Yeah. Coughing, you're done for the day. You're done. I'm sure somewhere some politician's probably trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We got one more thing to talk about. We'll be right back after this break.
Hey, it's great to be on with you. This is a great podcast. It's a lot of fun and it's informative and it's real information. It's none of the frills and none of the nonsense that you hear on the legacy media, just telling the story of what's happening right now. It's what I do with my newsletter that I get out to anybody who wants to see it. It's what you're doing with this podcast. America needs to know what the real deal is, and you're the real deal.
Welcome back. All right, guys. So, in all of my content, I really don't get into this Iran conflict very much. You know me, I have limited, deep knowledge, limited in depth, I should say, knowledge of Middle East affairs. And so I try to just learn and take it in. So understand where I'm coming from here. But wherever you stand, I can't imagine that you're not interested in what's happening at the Strait of Hormuz. It's only 24 miles wide. It's one of the world's major oil shipping choke points. Something like 20% of the world's oil passes through there from the Persian Gulf into the Gulf of Oman and then ultimately out into the Great Wide Open so it can travel around the world. And it just, for if you're watching and you're not sure where it is, we brought up a little graphic here to show you. Just can we pop up number 7? There it is in the circle. That's the Strait of Hormuz. It's Iran to the north. So you've got to get through that strait. What's happening? Iran's kind of got a trump card with the strait right now, and they're controlling it. And they're, for the past couple of weeks, they've been controlling who comes and goes, and they're really limiting what's happening. And they have rockets and missiles and drones, which is pretty much all they have left because they've pretty much been decimated. We can get rid of that graphic. and they're threatening to use them against oil tankers that come through without their permission. So they have a little bit of a strategic advantage. It's their, like I said, probably their only card that I know of. And oil prices are going to go up because of this, or are going up. You know, what's next, Jack? Because this can't last forever.
First of all, they're going to figure it out. That this will end soon. I mean, these guys, you know, they have war gamed this this strait probably over and over again. And I believe Iran did this back in the 80s sometime. You know, they shut it down. You know, they don't have enough missiles to really keep it down. What I'm afraid of is that this is a regime that will take everything with them. They'll kill all their people, destroy all their resources, you know, before they finally say uncle. You know, they're going to just bust up everything. And that's how they strike me. But yeah, this is definitely a bump in the road. But you know, I put my faith in Trump and Hegseth and the rest of them to figure this out.
I'm sure they saw this coming. I mean, they had to know this was, you know, an eventuality.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but it is their only, I guess it's their last hope here, is to disrupt the world economy. And I guess they're doing that for a while, but they will pay with their lives, unfortunately. You know, eventually we're going to knock them out. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Seth, now you've served, you know, you were in the Navy. Thank you for that. So you have a different perspective on this. What do you think what's next?
They're blocking the Strait of Hormuz because the U.S. Navy is allowing it right now. That is not a mission specific, I don't think, at this point. As soon as the Navy turns their attention to the Strait, it'll end. Just because you got grandpa's canoe and a shotgun in it doesn't mean you have a Navy. The U.S. Navy, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, is the most awesome killing force on the planet. With just one battle group, we could level most countries. We have 3 battle groups in that region now. Iran is only doing what they're doing at sea because we are allowing it. The Navy isn't focused on that right now. I think they're still focused on making sure the ground is taken care of. Once they turn that attention to the Strait, it'll be over in 20 minutes. So Iran should laugh it and yuck it up while they can, because the Navy's coming and it's not going to be pretty. So yeah, that's the only thing that's allowing them to do it now. It's not because we can't beat them or because we're afraid of them. It's because we're not focused on that right now. That is not a mission at this moment in time. From what I'm guessing, I haven't been in a while and I don't have any secret knowledge. I'm just saying if it were a mission point, it would have been handled by now. It'd have been done.
Yeah.
There's a reason it hasn't been handled yet, right? Yeah.
I think they're probably waiting to see if other countries are going to help. I think it was a South American country sending over some frigates.
Well, actually, that's a good point. I'm astounded at Europe. You know, they are. They just folded. I'm
not.
This is not going to go over well down the road.
And that's what I was going to say. I think that America should remember what countries helped when it comes to the Strait and what countries did. And if you didn't help, there's going to be a toll from now on. You're going to use the Strait. This is ridiculous. You don't get to let us fight the battle and then benefit from us doing it without being involved. That's not going to happen.
Do you think they'll take Karg Island?
I'm sorry, Jack.
Do you think they'll take Karg Island?
I think they should.
I think they should.
It depends on what they want. If this is just about a regime change, no, they won't. They'll destroy the defenses there. They'll bomb it back to the Stone Age and then pull out and let the Iranians do what they want to do with it. If this is about occupying or putting boots on the ground, then yes, we're going to take it. And we're going to occupy it. We're going to hold it. I hope we don't put boots on the ground. We don't need to get involved in a ground war there, because that's going to turn into an Afghanistan and Russia. It's going to be drawn out for years, and we're going to be fighting an unconventional war.
Yeah.
So I hope this is all just about beating the hell out of them, pushing them out of the way, and then going, hey, Iran, do what you want to do. We've cleared the path for you. Pick the kind of government you want. We are no longer involved. Goodbye. We're going to hang out in the Strait to make sure none of that crap happens again. But as far as your country, do what you want to do with it. We're out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, this is definitely not boring. And at least it's keeping us from talking about ICE protests for a little bit, right?
Well, you're all invited to 23rd in Trenton. So if you want to make the trip.
Some more excitement.
Seth, where are you located?
Maryland. I've drove up there that one night to hang out with you all for the, I guess, with the pre-election or the election night thing.
Yeah, that was a terrible bar. That was not a good venue for that.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Little ratty.
I mean, I was shocked how big it was because it didn't look that big from the outside. I was like, how are we all fitting in here? And then I got inside. I was like, wow, it's pretty big.
Yeah. They had a band in the room that was so loud. It's like having a full band, rock band in your living room, right? Yep. It just drowned out everybody.
It was a hard place to podcast from. I mean, because I was calling in. I was a guest, and I could hear that you guys couldn't hear anything, and it wasn't the best setup, but
no.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? All right, guys. Well, thank you for coming on for another episode of The Pulse tonight. I'm happy to have hosting again. And I think we had a little bit of some technical snafus earlier, but hopefully those all got worked out. And this episode will get out there quickly. Jack, your new show, the New Jersey State House Watch, just started last week, right? And great. Tell us about that and let everyone know how to find you.
Yeah. It's not a house watch. It's the New Jersey State House Watch. Got to put that accent on the right
way I had it written down. Yeah. State House Watch.
Right. Not a house watch.
What house are you watching? That's kind of creepy.
Oh, boy. It's late. I can't even straight. Yes. Thank you for clarifying. State House Watch.
The whole purpose of our gig here is to bring on the movers and shakers in New Jersey at the legislative level, in the legislature, and the leading activists, parental rights activists, and assembly people, and the state senators. So these are all people that will be involved with parental rights, abortion issues, a lot of the sanctuary state issues, and that sort of thing. So. For the New Jersey folks, we have Sean Hyland coming up Tuesday, and he's leading parental rights activist. After that, Melanie Dragone, and she is a MAHA lady of New Jersey, her organization. So she's all about vaccines, which is a big deal because New Jersey has withdrawn from the CDC recommendations, and we have teamed up, I think, with Virginia, Connecticut, and a consortium of blue states now that will be determining vaccines in the state of New Jersey and these others, which is a little scary. And then another assemblywoman, April 28th, Dawn Fantasia, who's one of the leading advocates for everything from budget, so on and so forth. So I think we have a good lineup, and we're trying to get some other people out into May and June, and it's with Constant Ditzel.
Awesome.
And we're going to be on the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. And if you're not available then, you can download at Apple and Spotify and Amazon Music on demand.
All right. And I hope you'll grab some content at that rally on the 23rd. Make sure to film a little bit and get some pictures and report back. We want to hear what people have to say out there.
Yeah, we'll do.
Well, awesome. And Seth, so your show, The Conservative Corner, what do we got? Sunday nights at 7? Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a little hiatus. I've got some issues I got to address here, and it's going to kind of put the hold on that for a while. But I'm still on the pulse, and you can find me on X at Conservative Seth, and then on Facebook at The Conservative Corner. And you can watch my madness on either page, keep up with it, and try to figure out what psychosis I'm suffering from at that time.
That's my favorite game.
It is. It's fun. It's like, what personality is going to come out tonight? Let's find out.
Yeah. What was the name of that movie? What's wrong with Aunt Diane or something? Or what's wrong with Seth today?
Yeah. Or instead of Sybil, just Seth.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this show, make sure to like, subscribe, share the episode, tell your friends about the America's Pulse Network, and we will be back here on the Pulse 1 week from tonight, 8 o'clock next Wednesday. We'll see you then. Thank you guys for coming.
Okay. Good night.
America's Pulse Network thanks you for watching tonight's episode of the Pulse Podcast. See you at the next packed episode that will take you from breaking news to informative topics. So please click on the subscribe button to get notified for upcoming episodes. If you liked what the Pulse covered, then share the Pulse Podcast with others. APN's The Pulse hosts look forward to seeing you on the next episode.